finals and 1 game away from the championship. This is what that was saved for. How worth it is it to bring something out like that to get into the upper bracket?
This is like a $200,000 game, right? So
Yeah.
There you go.
so
Grand
it's worth
final
it.
for a $200,000 tournament happening right now.
There you go.
I would
Oh,
say it's
that's
worth it.
That's a pretty simple answer. Yeah, definitely a lot on the line. I mean, when we just keep saying upper bracket, lower bracket, it can just sound like, oh, second chance.
When
or,
you put the
two
numbers
chances or
in
one
it, then
chance.
it feels serious.
Yeah.
Playing a best-of-1 elimination match is super scary. I think it's of course, there's the prize money, and there's the fact that you get the second life, but it's just as much that the life you get should you lose in the winner bracket. It's still a life you would rather have than the first round life.
Right.
Best of ones will be a lot about, like, you'll be really scared going into the series because you'll be like, you can't ever prepare fully for a team's best of one. Have like a crazy strat they've just saved and they pull out some sort of cheese strat or whatever that only works once because it catches you off guard, and you're like, I would have loved to play you guys again just so we can take that strategy out of play and just beat you in a normal game, but you don't get the second chance. So it's very scary for every team in the lower bracket. Now, of course, the team that does lose this will still have the opportunity. They will still be able to pick their opponent. But
very true.
But no matter who you pick,
at that point,
there could always be something. Like every team in the lower bracket, if they're smart, will prepare some sort of, like, a little, not necessarily a completely different strategy, but at least a little bit of a twist that the other team isn't used to. Whether it be a surprise pick or surprise laning or, those are, I guess, generally the two main things you could tweak very easily. And just you really want to avoid that.
Yeah, I mean, when you're at a tournament like TI, it doesn't matter if your opponent, you got to choose and they were the last in their groups and they didn't have a strong showing. A best of one, really, anyone could take it, right? It's not like you go in and you're like, oh, well, you get to play a best of one against 5 Chobras. That's pretty easy peasy, no matter what they bring. Like, we get to win. It's not that kind of situation. They made it into TI5. Like, they are given that much respect. Everyone's here. We've been looking at these player stories. Everyone's here super hungry to say TI is why, like, everything matters. This is where Dota 2 really matters. This is where everyone gets to strut their stuff, so to speak. So that is a pretty scary proposition. Of course, neither team wanting to move down there. At the same time, I mean, do you think there's some level of a personal pride thing here, being from the same region and wanting to say, like, well, we moved out of the groups as a stronger one from the CIS region? Do you think that's coming into play at a personal level between these two teams?
Yeah, I think that there's definitely a thing, when you're competing against a fellow team from the same region, you definitely want to feel, you come into TI, you want to prove that we are actually the best from our region. So I think it's going to feel the match with both of the teams trying to prove that they're actually the best team from the CIS region.
These guys are really young, too. So I could see him thinking like that, too. Like, there's a lot of pride probably with him. Aloha is 17. I can't believe it. He's a baby.
you know what? Like, they're probably going to prove I'm actually the better Rubik Lil.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, there's definitely something.
Gyrocopters as well. Illidan plays a good one. Silence known to play a good one.
It's like the national championship, and then the winner goes to they both go to the international. But
the winner gets $200,000.
Yeah, and they get a second chance. They get to play more games on that international stage. No matter, the more we talk about it, the more angles we're going to find on why this matters actually so much more for both of these teams. You can see them. I mean, I don't think anyone can kind of let their guard down. Both teams look pretty nervous and very focused at the same time. It's not anymore about how tired you might be or, how scared you might be, even if you are. It's not coming into play right now. Both teams just reviewing. Last minute, of course, you don't want to make any silly mistakes when that much is on the line.
I don't know how long ago they played each other, so they probably need to get a crash course once again on how that last time they played each other went. They've played a lot of teams since then, a lot of games, so they want to make sure they can get a crash course on what to expect.
Didn't it was day 2?
Yeah, day 2. It was like also, but at that very end,
End of day 2.
Yeah, Empire also had like a long day that day, and that's why I think they looked super happy. But after that, right, both of them, like, every match mattered. Like, oh, do we still keep our chances alive or not? They probably haven't had much of a chance to go back and think. Because you come into TI5's group stage thinking, all right, it's a round robin. Let's prepare super hard, win, move on. Then you got to review your next opponent's previous games from the days before. So, yeah, they definitely probably want to spend some time here.
This is the first best of 3, right? So
that's true. First best of 3.
That could be a different experience in itself. We'll see. First 3-game stretch. More Dota.
That's
Even
that's the
more.
best way to put it for all of our audience. Of course, watching from home, more Dota for sure. At the very least, 2 more games, so no different than another best of 2. But we could very well go to a best of 3, and that's exciting because this could show us things to come for at least one of these teams who does go into that upper bracket. That's pretty exciting. I mean, how excited are you guys about the main event? Because almost everything's settled now, except for these 2 teams on who's in the upper and who's in the lower bracket.
It's always an amazing experience, and this year it's going to be even better than last year. The whole arena is going to be crazy, packed with people, all the spectacle, everything around it is it's always phenomenal. And of course, as far as the quality of games, I think we pretty much all agreed that the quality of
everyone is stronger.
Yeah, the level of play is just higher,
right?
And it also seems like the metagame, but you could be tricked by that because last year a lot of people criticized, of course, thought it was a letdown that the finals were as short as they were, and they were. I think it was 3-1, right?
Yeah, it was 3-1.
It was 3-1, and the games were pretty short. It was a lot about like face rush, really early pushing and pressure like that, and they forget a lot the build-up there was until those grand finals. Like, it was just the end of the playoffs that had like those super short games, but a lot of the games along the way were incredible. That said, though, it does seem like the metagame now makes for longer and more exciting games. And because the thing is, at TI4, we did have a couple of those like super early push strats during the group stage. Like Vici Gaming, for example, played a lot of them and had like 15-minute wins. I think the shortest game we've had this TI was 25 straight by Cloud9.
Yeah, that was the IG game.
Yeah, and that was a shutout.
So that bodes pretty well for some more drawn out and more exciting games that are less predictable.
We're in a great spot right now, I think, with the patch. I don't want to speak too soon, but I mean, I agree with you. We've had games from 20 minutes up to 90 minutes already here at the group stage. Single, double, triple rapiers. I mean, we're fortunate enough to see those kind of games in a grand final, so I think there's a great chance that we could see that. And as I said before, at the actual main event for the atmosphere, we're all here to celebrate Dota as a game, and everyone's going to be way into it. I mean, people are getting hyped up. This group stage, the storylines that have already been built up are super exciting. People are looking forward to see these teams live on the stage perform. And, we got teasers about things to expect at Key Arena, and I'm very excited to see some of them.
Yeah, absolutely. Winter, what about you? How excited are you to be here?
I think for me, the most exciting thing is the diversity of the hero pools. Like last year, there's also a lot of heroes, but I feel this year it's been broader. There are a lot of heroes picked, and the strategies.
Both
and
eHome and
most importantly, I feel the biggest change is the itemization. The new items really, it's a different phase for the supports. Supports usually don't get to do so much with their gold. You don't get too much gold, but currently you have a lot of new items that have been being popularized on the supports, like the Solar Crest, the Glimmer Cape. These are the 2 biggest items, and they allowed a lot of supports to shine when they couldn't before. And I'm really excited to see, because I'm really the support guy, so I like to talk about the supports.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Definitely something to keep an eye on. Well, ladies and gentlemen, all you guys watching from home, thank you so much for sticking with us as we just about are ready to go into game number 1. Draft just kicks off between Virtus Pro and Team Empire. Of course, to all of our fans on the other side of the world, it's getting late, but if you're still here watching live, that's awesome and amazing. And look at that. We talked about these Naga, Qua, Lesh all being banned out from either side.
The staples.
Yeah, I mean, I think in this tiebreaker, you don't really want to let any of those go from the get-go.
First Pro, Shadow Fiend,
always want to fly is not going to be able to use them when he's
here's
for Hot 6. Like, you do not want to have to TP.
You expect, but Gyro, no surprise. First priority for both if Lesh is not there.
Right.
Both eHome and Undying
for that 4th series and
not that good to pick into Gyro generally, but if you can play around it,
and they're going to be able
worth it,
right?
I mean, you could also be worried about giving away the Undying plus the Gyro together if you don't pick it. I mean, it could be also a possibility why you're picking the Undying into the Gyro, because of both the teams having the very similar playstyles, very aggressive, and Undying could fit in both of the teams' lineup really well.
Now, we've seen more and more people also favoring to pick Dazzle within the first phase. Do you think that will come into play here? Because again, we talked about this just the match before. Dazzle plus Gyro, pretty darn safe combo.
It's also very good with Shadow Fiend, as EG showcased a little bit.
It's got to be right here. I mean, armor synergy. It's just when you don't
Tusk
have
too.
access. Yeah, Tusk is.
I mean,
Tusk is
Empire
fine.
didn't really prioritize the Tusk so much before, so.
Oh,
just go with the
that's true. Yeah, the Shaker also slipping by. I mean, generally not as high priority in most of our matches, but between these 2 teams, not too super.
Yeah, it's a very good pick in the sense that the support it provides for the Shadow Fiend. Sometimes Shadow Fiend you run into trouble in the early phase and you need someone to babysit you all the time. Like Fissure, Earthshaker is always there with the Fissure, and he can also help Shadow Fiend with stacking of camps. So, in general, it's a very good support to have with Shadow Fiend.
In a bit of a bind, you can always rotate him to the off lane, and we know Yoku can play a ridiculous Earthshaker if necessary.
Have they actually even played a support this
Yeah,
tournament?
I'm actually going to ask that. I don't think I remember seeing them playing Earthshaker support in the group stages. It's mostly just off lane, I remember.
Regardless, though, this is a really good Rubik pick from Virtus Pro. We were talking about how it would be a contested pick between Lila and Aloha Dance. Fissure, one of the best spell steals in the game. And in addition to that, Requiem also.
Right.
A very easy spell to steal. So what happens with Rubik is a lot of the times when you play against certain heroes, there are just some spells that are really key to steal, but some of them are very difficult to get. You know, an example would be Death Ward from Witch Doctor. He casts the Death Ward, but he can trigger the heal immediately after, and then you steal the heal, which is kind of useless in most cases. But with Shadow Fiend, all of his cast animations are pretty long. So he winds up the Requiem, there's a sound cue, it's very clear visual, and his follow-up, would he want to cast Raise afterwards, you have like a good half second at least to probably get that spell steal in. And Rubik channeling the Requiem is a little more subtle. You don't see it so easily in the fight, you maybe don't expect it to come out. And it has a huge impact because not only does it deal damage and slow, but again, the minus damage from Requiem, often an overlooked aspect of this spell that is absolutely crucial in this team fight meta.
Yeah, that's something you guys have been pointing out every time that we get to see a Shadow Fiend so far here at TI. The Dazzle eventually does get banned, and Virtus Pro were actually pretty quick about their second phase bans. They seem very clear on how they came into this. They said, game one, this is our game plan, we're going to stick with it.
Lots of targeting to what feels like resolution with the Storm and Razor ban. The side of Virtus Pro, I'm curious what they're going to get to potentially go to that mid lane. Viper, maybe, if they need to get a lane dominator. The other options have already been banned out. TA's gone. Razor's gone. They already grabbed Lina on the side of Empire.
I'm just still thinking about that Tusk, whether they're going to ignore it entirely or will grab it. And for Empire, this being an offlane shaker, Lina could easily just be one of the two supports, and they could still be aiming for their Dragon Knight. And by picking the Lina, they remove one of the good counter picks in mid that Virtus Pro could have actually given G to beat Resolution. With Queen of Pain also being banned and G's Shadow Fiend picked, it seems like they're really targeting him. And the TA banned, and the Ledge Track banned, and the Storm, and the Razor. Okay, so I feel like we've kind of overlooked that. They are targeting G super hard, actually.
Yeah, I mean, it sounds like both sides tried to start the targeting, but at the end, Empire
they target
came out
each
on
other's
top.
mids, actually.
But Empire came out on top because they got to secure the SF and then the Lina. So I think that's what's throwing VP off a little bit, maybe. I don't know if they were expecting this Lina pick this early, hoping to secure it for themselves, perhaps.
They're definitely taking their time here.
Yeah, quite a bit.
I mean, it's very hard to pick at this junction because G has very little options, and the other options that he has isn't really that good in this game. And they're going to go for the offlane position first for Phobos with the Spirit Breaker.
They have ran it as a 4 position before, though. So
okay.
Non-concrete, but yes, more than likely the Phobos special.
So
this was a very quick
it'll be a Shadow Demon plus Lina.
Yeah,
Shadow Demon plus Lina is their support duo, so they already show that the Earthshaker is going to be offlane on Yoki. And Virtus Pro would round the draft up with a Tusk, so they have the potential of the dual lane that we talk about a lot, Spirit Breaker plus Tusk, to pressure the opponent's carry. I mean, that could be really potent, so we'll see what Empire chooses to go for as their safe lane carry.
I feel like this metagame rarely has a draft without one defensive support. Like, it just seems like every single team really values having that extra save, whether it be Snowball, Disruption, Fissure,